Hello everyone! Today's episode is the second part of the topic of the rescuers, where we will delve into practical tips. We will focus on healing and stopping the rescuer behavior. We also will focus heavily on the difference between supporting and being a rescuer. And this podcast might trigger you, but it's important to allow yourself to endure until the end and reprogram it over a few days. If some information triggers you, it means there is something that needs healing. I will talk about a practice on how to observe yourself and what has helped me. And at the very end, there will be something that might surprise you, so stay with me until the end. For those who haven't listened to the previous episode or don't understand yet, let me quickly explain who a rescuer is. So, let's start by understanding who an adult rescuer is and what characteristics define them. An adult rescuer is someone who has compulsive need to put out other people's fires. What exactly does this mean? It means we cannot internally cope with the fact that someone else is going through a difficult time. We feel compelled to give advice and help, and when we cannot, we feel bad and even stressed. And as a result, a rescuer neglects their own life to save others. These are not isolated cases. From my personal observations, I have seen people who were willing to neglect their personal life, partnership, children, vacation plans, work, and projects to rescue others. A rescuer often finds solutions for others and wants them to follow their advice. We actually do a lot for others and very little for ourselves. And this is the main dominant trait of a rescuer. A rescuer is deeply involved in the problems of everyone around them, but barely focuses on their own feelings and issues. As a result, a rescuer neglects their own life to save others. These are not isolated cases. From my personal observations, I have seen people who were willing to neglect their personal life, partnership, children, vacation plans, work, and projects to rescue others. There is an internal belief within the rescuer that if they try hard enough, they can fix the world. For example, if I try hard enough, my dad will stop being an alcoholic. Or if I try hard enough, my friend will finally find her dream job. Our rescuer is constantly trying and looking for ways to involve themselves in other people's life. They are happiest when they are doing something, especially when saving someone, as they are always engaged in other lives, not their own. Rescuers always have many fires to put out. Those in the role of a rescuer often find themselves in challenging situations just because they unconsciously seek out circumstances where they can help and save others. For instance, they might find themselves at the scene of an accident in the midst of a crisis or dealing with sudden issues because their subconscious is always looking for opportunities to help someone. Rescuers are often surrounded by people who always want something from them. I would even say that their schedule is often filled with tasks and obligations that don't belong to them. The fundamental traits of a rescuer are the compulsive need to help and discomfort they feel when someone has problems and they can't assist. Rescuers are always available for others, often finding themselves in difficult situations where they have to step up and be the hero. If as a children we felt our family was in a danger or facing significant challenges, we often stepped into the rescuer role. And in homes where the drama triangle existed, children frequently took on the rescuer role. So we always had a solution, always knew what to do, always rolled up ourselves to put out some fire. This is where our rescuer function developed, and it continues to this day. But there is another very important aspect and cause of the adult rescuer, a scenario where we specifically saved our moms. And let me explain why mothers in particular. As a children, we often pulled our moms out of difficulties, crises, and emotional lows. Maybe we helped our mothers out of depression or emotional turmoil. We were the comforters, the ones who cheered her up and pulled her out of the depths. These are the seeds of the rescuer function sown in us back then. Okay, so you want to know probably why do I emphasize mothers? Our mother is our primary caregiver, our number one from the start. This doesn't mean our mother is a better caregiver, but she's our first. We spent 9 months in her womb, learning from her environment. We learn her emotionality and her approach to the world from the prenatal stage. We sense her stress responses because her reaction system is connected to ours through the placenta and umbilical cord. So we know our mothers inside out of the prenatal stage. When we come into the world, we already understand our mother's emotional state. We are highly attuned to her. That's why, as a children, if we sense even the slightest change in her facial expression or emotional state, we automatically react. Why? Because, from a biological standpoint, if our mother is in a bad state or if she is no longer there, we won't survive. So, as a children, we are on a constant mission to do everything we can to keep our mother in a good shape, in good health, and in a good spirits. That's why, as a children, we often automatically and organically pulled our mothers out of emotional depths, depression, and emotional crises. We did it willingly and automatically out of love. Now, in our adult lives, we simply step into these roles that were familiar in childhood. We step into what we spent a lot of time doing as a children. Our rescuer always feels that if they try hard enough, they can change the world, solve a problem, or end someone's struggle. This belief is the notion that if I try hard enough, my mom won't fall into depression, or my dad will be happy, or there will be a better atmosphere at home. It's about feeling that if we try hard enough, maybe mom won't be depressed, or maybe mom will notice us. It's all about trying hard enough. Our rescuer is constantly striving, thinking that through this effort they will earn attention and love. They want to be needed and enjoy being needed. The internal belief is that when they are needed, they are seen, loved, and paid attention to. I have identified several beliefs that function within rescuers. Now take a look if any of them resonate with you. Firstly, a rescuer believes that if they do nothing, something will go wrong. If they don't act, something will go wrong. Something will end badly. If they do nothing, someone won't manage. As adult rescuers, we might hold the belief that only when we are saving others do we have a chance at love. Only when we are acting on behalf of someone else do feel we can earn love from that person. Only when we are needed do we feel worthy. If we aren't acting, we feel worthless. If we aren't rescuing, we feel worthless. Our self-worth is based on how much we can do for others. Our value hinges on being present at all family events, at all the events our parents want us to attend because of this ingrained mechanism from childhood to pull them out of trouble, crisis, and their own fires. For adult rescuers, there is often a belief that we don't know what it means to take care of ourselves, to live in peace, or to not be constantly putting out fires. Because if we are rescuers, we are always on high alert, ready to jump into action. As a result, we attract big challenges more than anyone else. As adults, we might end up rescuing our partners, friends, or even entire projects at work. We are the ones who always find solutions when no one else has any ideas. When there is a crisis, we ride in like a knights on white horses. This is the echo of rescuing our moms and dads, of supporting them entirely when we were children. Now, in our adult lives, we have many, many people to rescue. So, I would like to ask you a few questions to ponder, as this is really the core of the rescuer's journey today. Okay, the first: where, from what, and from whom were you rescuing your mom in your childhood? What were you saving her from? Second, similarly, where, from what, and from whom were you rescuing your dad in your childhood? What were you saving him from? 3. As a child, what were you afraid would happen if you didn't rescue them? What were your worst fears about what would happen if you didn't come up with solutions to their problems? And fourth, feel how these fears are working within you today. Do you still find yourself rescuing your parents in the same way? You know what? It's interesting, actually. The topics in which you rescue might not have changed, actually. Maybe as a child you were rescuing your mom from her emotional struggles, and today you still rescue her from emotional turmoil. Maybe as a child you comforted your dad who had recurrent depressive episodes, and today you still do the same, maybe over the phone. Perhaps you rescued a parent who drank, and today you find yourself in the same role, just with more distance or not living with them. You are still in the same role, the same alert state you had in childhood. Reflect on how this pattern echoes into your adult life. And many of us, we often wonder, am I just being supportive or am I rescuer? This is a question I get asked frequently. So let's talk about the difference between a rescuer and someone who supports. The line is thin but significant. It's very thin but significant. Okay, a rescuer operates with a lot of anxiety and a disrupted sense of safety, believing that if they don't act, the other person will fall apart. A rescuer believes that everything depends on them. On the other hand, someone who supports knows they are not responsible for another person's life. They are only responsible for themselves. So, how do you know if you are a rescuer? Do you feel anxiety when you can't help someone? Do you even accept that you might not be able to help someone? If you find it impossible to accept, this could be a sign of being a rescuer. Next, how many times do you support the same people through the same problems? If your friend repeatedly leaves a toxic partner and you find yourself helping her or him move every single time, ask yourself, how many more times? Am I a rescuer here? Do you take responsibility for other people's issues as if they were your own? A rescuer often takes on others' problems more seriously than their own because they place others' lives above their own. Do you have ideas to solve other people's problems and share them even when you are not asked? A rescuer can't help but jump in with solutions because they are always in a state of high alert, ready to extinguish any fire. Oh no, notice the quality of arrogance in this. I know best. I will tell you how to do. I will tell you how to live. I will advise you. In rescuers, there is a certain godlike quality. Everything depends on me, everything is in my hands. If I try hard enough, I can change their life, I can change their world, I can change their decision, I can fix their mistake, I can save my mom, I can save my dad, I can save my family. So, do other people's issues and problems keep you up at night? Can you not stop thinking about someone else's problems? This is common among rescuers. A rescuer is so involved in the other person's issue, so eager to extinguish the problem as quickly as possible that they can't rest until it's resolved. And I even realized that the rescuing behavior is like an addiction. From my experience and observation of myself and others, rescuing feels like an addiction. Every time I save someone, I feel calm, like I have had a drink. The calm comes to a rescuer just like it does to an alcoholic. Like relative peace arrives only after they have had their fix. That's why when we step out of this rescuing behavior, we need to be ultra vigilant about the metaphorical shots that lie in front of us. Each time someone comes to you with their struggle or problem, it's like placing a shot in front of an alcoholic who hasn't drank for 2 days. You will be tempted to throw yourself completely into solving their problems. You will be tempted to find solution for them, to advise, to abandon your life in your favor of the other person. You will be tempted to be constantly available. Many people think, okay, I will stop being a rescuer and it will be like magic, like cutting off an arm and the issue is gone. Oh no, absolutely not. This is a daily, daily practice because metaphorical shots will be appear on your path every day, every single day. You definitely need to constantly check in with yourself. What am I doing here? Am I as supporting or trying to be the rescuer, the knight on a white horse? Am I trying to make myself the hero of the situation because I am seeking love, attention, or validation? Do I equate love with being needed and taking care of others at all costs? Think about it every single day. Okay, now practical steps to move out of the rescuer role. Pause and notice your reflexes. Remember, we operate on reflexes and well worn paths. You will automatically want to drop everything and rush to the rescue. It's a crucial to pause and notice this reflex. What does it mean to not agree automatically? First, don't automatically say yes to everything. Someone calls you asking if you can water their plants, drive them home, stay with them because they are sick, help them, pick something up from them, for them, or give them advice. Pause. Pause and examine your reflex because your first reflex might be to say, yes, 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 I will pick it up. Yes, I will drive you. Yes, I will stay. So pause and ask yourself, do I have the resources? Do I have the time? Do I already have plans that are important for me or my family? Do I have the space for this? Or do I just want to take a shot from my automatic reflex to rescue and extinguish all fires? Remember, sometimes these issues aren't even on your path, they are 5 paths over, 4 forests away, and you leave your path to run east. So, first practical step to stop being a rescuer: pause and notice you're being a rescuer. Pause and notice your reflex. Pause and notice your path. Second, give to yourself. This is the second step in moving out of the rescuer role. Rescuers are always giving to others, being available for others, and often don't know their own feelings, needs, or even themselves. They need to start returning to themselves slowly, but slowly, step by step. This isn't a one time act, it's a daily practice of coming back to yourself. It's very common for rescuers to have a very tired little girl inside who needs your care. Or you might discover that there is a very tired little boy inside you who urgently needs rest and your engagement. Often, when we dig deep into this tired little girl or boy within us, we realize that we have absolutely no resources left to help anyone. And be it a friend you love dearly, a partner you care about deeply, or friend, neighbors, everyone around you. What we have been running on is trauma, adrenaline, and on overreactive nervous system, not actual resources. So the second step out of the rescuer role is to give yourself, to give to yourself. This may feel uncomfortable because maybe you have never given to yourself before. For people dealing with the rescuer issue, I really recommend taking a few days off, 2, 3, or even 5 days alone, without phones, TVs, or distractions. Observe how you feel when you don't answer emails, don't take calls, and don't listen to others' problems. Do you have any space for yourself at all? Often, emotions and feelings that are our own, which we haven't accessed for many years because we were busy with everyone else's issues, start to surface. Okay, my advice is to give to yourself. Go for a walk alone. Take small steps to give yourself micro doses of care. It might be a good idea for you to go away for a few days alone to see how it feels. Take a trip and see what 2 days of connecting with yourself does for you. See what it does to you, because maybe finally that tired little girl or that tired little boy inside of you will start to emerge and you will finally be able to truly take care of them. Another important point is, okay, it's very important. It's okay not to be able to give. It's okay not to be able to help someone. It's okay not to be there for someone. If you have been an active rescuer for years, you might not be able to give to others right now. You might not be able to offer immediate help. When stepping out of the rescuer role, we we often need to rebuild our energy and restart our system. And this can take several months, even more than a year, depending on the level of exhaustion within us. And during this time, we might not be able to help others because we are focusing on our own healing, rebuilding our energy, and restoring our resources. So, in this point, we need to become friends with the idea and the thought that it's okay if I can't give you something, it's okay if I can't provide immediate help, it's okay if I cannot support you right now, and only rescuers have an internal compulsion to help, no matter what. But I want to present a space where you start to become comfortable with the idea that it's okay if you can't help. I want you to start thinking, it's okay if I am not strong enough today. It's okay if I am in the process of healing my own wounds and can't help you with yours. Otherwise, we enter relationships based on codependency, where one drawing person tries to save another. We can't give to others if we don't have anything to give to ourselves on a deep level. And you know what is paradoxical? I want to add that adult rescuers are often described by friends and parents and family as dedicated, loving, always there for others, and with a heart of gold. But very often, these same adult rescuers come home exhausted, angry, and without any resources for their own children and partner because they have given everything they had rescuing everyone else throughout the day. This is the paradox. For someone, the rescuer can be an amazing, dedicated friend, but for someone else, the same rescuer can be cold, tired, and constantly lacking the will and energy to live. They can be angry. This is very common. For some people, the rescuer is wonderful, dedicated, and loving, but for their family, the rescuer is often devoid of energy, deeply tired, and angry that everyone wants something from them. So, when their child asks for something, they might say, "Go to your room. I don't have time for you. I don't have space for you," because they spend the day rescuing half the world, their friends, their parents. This is the paradox of the rescuer. Another step is to start working with the nervous system, and I have written it down exactly as it is, working with the nervous system. Why? Because when we are in the rescuer role, we often operate from a state of arousal in the sympathetic part of our autonomic nervous system. This part of our nervous system is responsible for mobilization, for quick action. We need our nervous system to move out of this state of arousal, out of this state of mobilization, and stop seeking extreme situations unconsciously. We need to start activating the parasympathetic part of our autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for calmness, safety, and growth. When our this is difficult word, parasympathetic nervous system is active, we can rest and learn. As I mentioned it, it's where our reasoning resides. So we need to work with our nervous system to move out of hyperactivity, to stop being constantly on the lookout for who to help and what to do. This internal rush might not be visible on the outside, but it's strongly felt inside. For example, I have been working on my nervous system, which was hyperactive. My pulse would spike. I would have panic attacks, feel my heart racing, and struggle to catch my breath. Today, things are different because when we work with our body, it truly becomes our resource. So when we're working with the nervous system, it could be through somatic experiencing, trauma therapy, or polyglot therapy. Anything that helps you, you can choose. Read about it, explore it, but don't forget about the body. The rescuer isn't just about the psyche, but also about the physical body, and that's important to remember. Lastly, I want to share a clear and significant difference between a rescuer and a supporter. Take this to heart. I think it shows very clearly. First, a rescuer implements their own idea of what someone else needs. They help by realizing their own idea of what the other person should do. In contrast, a supporter asks, is there something I can do for you? Is there something you need? A supporter doesn't impose their idea on the other person but asks if they need anything at all. There is a chance the other person doesn't need your help, actually. Secondly, there is a chance that they need different help than what you, as a rescuer, want to offer. And now, attention. A rescuer doesn't accept that the other person might not want their help, while a supporter is okay with the other person saying, no, I don't need your help, thank you, I will manage my own. Or I will stand on my own for now, I don't need any help or support. A rescuer must also learn to refuse and not give so much of themselves. So, a supporter will be okay with it and saying, alright, you don't want my help, that's fine. If you need anything, come by, I will be here. And a supporter can help but doesn't feel the need to save at all costs. Another distinction, a rescuer often abandons their own life to save someone else. They often neglect their own life to rescue another person. A supporter, however, integrates their support into their own life without abandoning their own plans or promises to their loved ones. Support is a part of their own life, not a life dedicated to rescuing others. Moving on, a rescuer lives through the dramas of others, while a supporter finds joy in their own life without needing to live through others' dramas or help everyone. A rescuer takes on the responsibility when someone else makes a mistake. They feel as if they are to blame. For example, feeling guilty if their father drinks again. It was just example. A rescuer takes on responsibility for others' struggles, problems, and crises. A supporter respects the fate of another person and understands that they cannot control anyone else's decisions but their own. They leave space for the other person's decision and fate. A rescuer will do everything to help, everything to save. A supporter will do what they can to support. And this is a crucial distinction, very crucial. A rescuer treats people as incompetent with the internal belief you can't handle this without my help, you can't manage your emotional states or problems. I have to help you, and I will. This is the rescuer's internal mindset. Therefore, a rescuer will do everything to help. In contrast, a supporter will do what they can and will withdraw if they see that they are more invested in the problem than the person they are trying to help. They will not take on excessive responsibility for another person's choices, problems, or decisions. Look at this way, even therapists or coach are based on very clear subtleties. You can't do more for a client or patient than they want for themselves. If you pull them along, you suddenly become their parent. We should look for these same nuances in our own lives. Am I still a friend to my friend, or have I become their parent and rescuer? Am I still a partner to my partner, or have I become their rescuer? Am I still chilled to my parent, or am I their rescuer? When we support, we don't strip people of their dignity, agency, or strength, we empower them. They regain their agency and act on their own, maintaining their dignity and facing everyday life without us. When we rescue, we strip people of their agency because we act for them, making decisions for them. We think they can't find a good solution to their problem, so we do it for them. We take away their power and become their guardians, making them seem incompetent to handle their own issues. And when we rescue someone from their difficulties repeatedly, we deprive them of a significant opportunity to learn their lesson. We take on their karma, bearing the responsibility for their karma. Remember, no struggle comes to a person by chance. The topic isn't about how to get someone out of an emotional breakdown or an alcohol problem. The topic is whether that person is ready to face their deep pain, which has been buried for 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years. Sometimes people can't face it because if they did, they wouldn't survive it. Often from a I know better standpoint, which is almost a good like perspective, we think we can live someone else's life better than they can. We believe we can find better solutions for them than they can for themselves. So, my dear listeners, there is a very clear difference between a rescuer and supporter. A rescuer is driven by compulsion, lack of security, and anxiety. A rescuer takes responsibility, acts for others, and stands in the place of agency where the other person should stand. A supporter asks, is open to refusal, and does not take away the agency, lessons, or issues that the other person needs to handle, needs to heal. A supporter does not abandon their own life and does not live off others' problems and dramas. A supporter enjoys their own life and respects the fate of another person. They understand that they cannot take responsibility for someone else's life or making decisions for them. Okay, now, and I got a question from one of my listeners. How to come to terms with the fact that when you stop being a rescuer, the parent sinks to the bottom? Okay, and honestly, I would love to dwell on this because I think this is the main point where we all stop in guilt if we are rescuers. How can I endure this? How can I endure literally looking at the tragedy of another human being? I would like to dwell on the equation that was mentioned in this question. The equation is as follows. When I save, the parent is on the surface. When I stop rescuing, the parent goes to the bottom. In other words, if I'm not in a constant, compulsive motion of pulling them out of the water, then they go to the bottom. In other words, in order for my parent to be on the surface, I have to be in constant mobilization. I have to be constantly vigilant. I have to be in constant action. I have to be in constant worry. I have to be in constant anxiety. I have to be in constant sense of threat and insecurity in order to how much responsibility is there. You see? And is this a responsibility that is fitting for a child or an adult child towards their parent? Will such a child who has such responsibility, in fact, responsibility for the life and quality of life of this parent, will such a child who has such responsibility take care of their life at all? Will they have space for their life? And what else can we say about successful life? If they live all the time in such agitation, all the time in such hyperreactivity, all the time in such Alertness, will they have a place for their life? How many of these children will live in constant vigilance, in constant anxiety from this caregiving? And finally, who is this child for this caregiver? If you have to be in constant rescue of this dad, no, this mom, are you still your parent's child there? Or are you just their parent? And now I would like to say one more very important thing to this question. Your parent doesn't sink to the bottom because of you. The parent does not feel the pain that they feel because of you. The rescuer relates everything to themselves. I have already said it in the first part of this podcast because the rescuer takes responsibility for life and functioning. The rescuer takes everything to themselves. So if my dad goes down, then apparently I didn't do something. I didn't do something so that my dad wouldn't go down. And this is the child's thinking. A child relates everything to themselves. The rescuer relates everything to themselves. A child has exactly the same way of thinking, you know? If my parents argue, it means that I didn't do something. I didn't do something to stop arguing. If my dad is violent towards my mother, it means that I didn't defend my mother. I didn't defend my mother enough. The rescuer looks at the fast movement for a quick move. How can I get this dad out of this crisis? To get this mother out of this crisis? How can I pull my dad out of the bottom he is in? How can I pull this mother out of this bottom? The rescuer looks at the fast movement because they want it to be good quickly. The rescuer doesn't look at the cause. And I repeat once again, you are not the reason why your parent is sinking to the bottom. You are not the reason for this. Self destructive and destructive behaviors are the results of deep pain that you have nothing to do with. This is the pain that comes from your parents' past. This is the pain that comes from their traumas. And no, you are not able to pull your mom and dad out of these traumas. They need to want to get out of it themselves. They themselves need to be willing to stop at it and take this topic seriously. If mom and dad alone do not take this topic seriously themselves, they will drop by again and again. And I know that is the cruel difficult. Perhaps this is the most difficult part of the whole subject of the rescuer. To endure this, to stand out that as your child, mom, dad, I'm not able to do anything here because it is too big for me. As your child, mom, as your child, dad, I'm too small to deal with your pain and your traumas. I'm the younger one here. I'm the younger one here. Mom, I can do anything. I can do anything here. No matter how much I wanted to, and even if my childish inner part did everything to save you, I can't really do anything here. And those who compulsively save their parent from the quote of sinking to the bottom know very well how much energy it consumes, how much energy it takes, how much vigilance, anxiety, insecurity it costs, and also how their own life is fulfilled then. And this is very clear that when we rescue our parent and pull that parent out of the bottom again and again, as it was called in this question, we always pay a huge price for it, either with ourselves and our own health, often with our own depression, panic attacks, anxiety, or various areas at relationships that are in our own lives. And now I would like to touch on one more topic in this episode. When you know you are no longer a rescuer, remember that in the active rescuer, that is, we look at this drama triangle again. There is someone who is bad, someone who is poor, and I'm the rescuer on a white horse, right? So, first of all, when we already know that we are not rescuers, when we don't judge other people's problems, when we assume that someone has a problem, but we don't judge this problem. We don't judge who is the villain and who is the white character. And no, we just accept, okay, you have to this problem. I hear you, I understand, I'm sorry, but we don't judge. When we know we are no longer in the role of a rescuer, we can listen without giving advice. This requires self control. Holding back from giving advice can be uncomfortable, but people don't need your golden advice. They need to find their own solutions. When you know you are not rescuer, you stay calm even when someone else is having a hard time. You respect that not everyone is ready to work on themselves. You don't tell them what to do or judge their survival strategies. You respect where they are today, and when you are not a rescuer, you treat people as capable adults, not as a children who need saving. You focus more on your own life and your own activities. Your time is mainly spent on your own matters, not on solving others' problems. You know, you are not a rescuer when you are not constantly looking for problems to solve. You are okay with a peaceful, quiet life. You are not excited by others' hardships or dramas. You have enough good things in your life and focus on your own issues. Okay? And now, this is the most important part I would like to share with you. Can a rescuer be a resource? Of course, every difficult role, every challenging function we take on as children, every trauma we experience in childhood can become a potential resource for us. Remember, a rescuer has the potential for immense energy. Look at how much a rescuer does, how much they work, how much they achieve for others. These are people who can operate on a large scale and build great things in their lives. They have great sensitivity because they were always alert to the moods of mom, dad, and the family atmosphere. No one can take away this intuition, this depth of feeling, this quickness of action, and creativity that comes from years of figuring out how to help others out of trouble. This is yours, it belongs to you. Now, if you allow yourself to redirect this energy toward your own life instead of always focusing on others, you will begin to realize how much being a rescuer can bring to your own life today. In every difficult movement from the past, in every challenging story from our childhood, there is a huge resource and potential for us. And this is the most important question to you today. If you were to redirect all the energy you give to others towards yourself, how much could you achieve? What would you do with your life seriously? I will leave you with this question. And this is where I will end this third episode. I hope these two parts have touched something within you, that together we have addressed significant movements and topics. Remember, rescuing and supporting are two completely different qualities. When we rescue, we are often doing it from our own wounds, so we are not truly there for the other person. We are feeding our own sense of inadequacy, our feeling of not being seen or loved or guilty. We felt guilty. We are simply feeding our own trauma. On the other hand, when we support, we can genuinely be there for another person as they need us. Okay, my dears, thank you very much for this almost 50 minutes. Oh my god, 50 minutes episode. I hope this time has been important for you, and I hope that you will now carry these insights further into your lives, because you certainly already know what to do. I hug you very much. Thank you for this time together and for listening to my podcast. Bye!